develops a relationship with what we are, so that what we are becomes reliable, repeatable, and responsible. And when, what we would normally say, when we undertake to discharge a particular task, in making this, taking the decision and making the commitment, even God can rely upon us. This is not an exaggeration. If there is any doubt, the impossible is unable quite to reach what is possible. An effect of having an established discipline. How do we know we have a discipline? When we recognize the discipline has us. And when we recognize this, we have become to be reliable. An outcome of being reliable is that we are effectual in the world. And by being effectual in the world, we develop a relationship with ourselves. But this is only a fortunate outcome. The proper aim of a discipline is so that who we are and what we are find a way of speaking to each other. So that's the practice we share. For some of us now, for over 36 years. My own particular approach to my personal discipline now has been specific for 48 years. Now, moving on to the music. How does the music take place in Detroit? The instruction is this. When ready, please begin. David.
Thus, therefore, the rogue notes that you didn't hear are part of the intention, I suppose. I was thinking, I've yet to see an orchestra of crafty. Have they actually played one in England?
No.
No, I have yet to see one. I did, when I very first met Robert, I mixed the League of Crafty Guitarists, and there were 12 or something. And there were plenty of rogue notes creeping in then, I do recall. But it was very different because they were playing a repertoire, and therefore rogue notes perhaps were not intended to belong. So a different intention, possibly.
Thank you for that question, sir. Thank you. Would you put a spotlight on the microphone, please? There we are, a form of encouragement to those hesitating slightly. Yes, sir, you're on your feet. Michael, you're also on your feet. Michael first, and then you, sir. Thank you, Michael. I wonder if our lady service person has a burning question for us. What would you like to drink? Thank you. Yes,
Okay,
Michael.
this is a question of curiosity and a little whimsical. I've been staring at that tie ever since you walked on stage. Is that unicorns on the tie, and how did you come by it?
2 questions.
See, somebody couldn't get away without asking 2 questions, could they? No, but
All right.
Stick with the whimsical tie.
Thank you, Michael. If you look closely, you will see this tie has a unicorn and a mermaid. That's the first part. That's question 1, Michael. This is a unicorn, certainly, with a mermaid. It was given to me by my wife, Toya. Now, I find this tie, the theme of this tie is ambiguous, and I'll explain why. The unicorn appears to have an extremely close relationship with the mermaid. And were the tie to have appeared in different circumstances, I would look upon this with some suspicion. I would even question whether the theme was a healthy one. But since the tie has come from my wife, it therefore has her approval, and while the subject remains ambiguous for me, I trust its wholesomeness. Thank you, Mike. Have I mentioned how much I love the purple walk?
Thank you. My question goes to your comment earlier about how vocalists or was it singers are problems or vocalists are problems?
A singer is always a problem.
Which goes back to what is actually my favorite album, and that is Sacred Songs.
Yes?
And, which was obviously a lot of problems for you.
Yes.
My question pertains specifically to the song Babs and Babs.
Yes!
And if I remember correctly, the first recorded use of Frippatronics. And how that ties in so well with the theme of the song, adding to the atmosphere and the conflict.
Yes.
Of the character in the song that she's having within herself. And my question is, how did you develop that? How did you come up with that atmosphere to create that beautiful sound?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good. First statement, a singer is always a problem. But why? I have had no problems with Darryl, who recently came to tea in England. And I will not say too much more, other than I will be in upstate New York in November. What is that flashing red light, sir? What is that flashing red light, sir?
A camera.
Well, I believe the assumption is at the end of our speaking, it will be fine to bring out the camera, and I will be bringing out mine.
Okay.
But until then, I would be grateful if you turned it off.
I shall.
Good. And
You
I'll
are welcome.
explain why. The intentionality changes. There is an involvement and commitment in being here with us, which shifts. I'll return to. I have no problems with Darryl. Did I have difficulties with his manager? Yeah. Did I have difficulties with his record company? Yeah. Give an example of this. They delayed the release of Sacred Songs by 2.5 years. Why? Because they felt it would damage Darryl's commercial potential as a member of Hall & Oates. My relationship with Darryl was really good and is still really good. Babs and Babs. Babs and Babs lie dreaming in a four-poster bed, side by side, head to head. I have read interviews with Darryl. What is Babs and Babs about? Well, clearly it's two aspects of the same person, however we interpret it, whether it's bipolar or multiple personality or a something or other. And I love it. So in the looping, the Frippatronic section in the middle, one side goes off here and one side goes off there. And it is a glorious sonic mess. But it's not messy. And I'm wondering how I can possibly approach that on November the 8th this year. I shall say no more then.
I have a question.
Yes.
In order, was that recorded before or after Here Comes the Flood on Exposure?
It was all about the same time. In 1978, there was Peter Gabriel 2. There was Sacred Songs and there was Exposure. And in terms of my memory, it's all the same moment. It's all in that same moment of approximately 18 months.
I was just following up from your thought that this was the first use of Frippatronics in that way, because I'm sure you've all heard the Frippatronics that come in the middle of Here Comes the Flood, which is sublime.
Yeah.
It's, in fact, I was lucky enough to hear it in Atmos in Stephen Wilson's studio when the Frippatronics actually came in above our head. It's glorious.
We have taken up your time for 1 hour and 1 minute.